Here's the first deal breaker on a positive note. Hello and welcome to this review on the 3FULGEAR shell tent. This is a tunnel tent, but it's kind of like a hybrid tunnel. So it has one central arch pole, but instead of having two poles or a pole at either end, you actually use trekking poles to give you a vertical pole end, or a vertical tent end, and also save a little bit of weight. Talking about weight, there's a few different quotes on the 3FULGEAR site. So as it is, everything apart from the trekking pole, so there's the main pole of the tent, pegs in here as well, and we will weigh that, and I get 1.955 kilograms, so it's pretty much, I think they say that the sort of trail weight is 2 kilos. So let's go ahead now and actually get the tent actually pitched and have a good look at it. So obviously just a matter of pegging out the footprint to begin with. Now for me, I always say with my videos, is this going to be a buy or a sell afterwards? So full disclosure, 3FULGEAR did send me this tent, but they don't have any impact on what I actually say. And I can assure you it'll be an honest, unbiased review. And then I'll let you know whether I'm going to actually keep the tent or actually sell it at the end. So this is the first time for me to set up this tent, and I think I've got it orientated correctly, but we'll soon find out. And then the pole just goes through the pole sleeve. It's just going through the sleeve here really, really easy. I mean, that's one of the quickest threads I've done in a while, so that's a real bonus. And then that just pops in, and then it obviously just guys out. So the idea of having a trekking pole at the end of the tent and a sort of hybrid design means that if you'll normally carry trekking poles, you can actually save weight. But because a trekking pole is quite thick in diameter, then actually you can make the end of the tent quite high. So if you had just a normal tent pole here, it just wouldn't be stable enough. So you've really got extra height here, and it makes the end of the tent, to be fair, very, very strong, and also gives you great vertical space, which we'll have a look at now on the inside. And then the arch pole here, I'm just going to crank a good bit more tension on that, see if we can get it strengthened up a bit. It actually feels, it's not too bad. To be fair, this one here, I could probably make the guy line, a little bit longer. But the attachment here, the way this is sewn in, is pretty impressive. It's like really, really reinforced. So it's a thinnish pole sleeve, but then you've got thicker bits here and an extra bit of attachment here. So that feels quite well made. It's not super strong and super rigid because it is quite a big pole. But 3FULGEAR are not claiming this as a tent, for exposed summits. And in sheltered locations, I think this would actually be pretty good. So we have twin doors on each side of this tent with a nice reflective zipper there, and a really good, quite a long storm flap. So this obviously just zippers up and rolls, and a nice sort of toggle system there. Again, that looks to be reflective, and it's quite well done. Okay, so I have the tent set up now. Probably actually not the right way to do it in respect of the footprint, because the footprint here is out covering this part of the vestibule that you would be getting in and out of the tent. You probably actually want that in the other section, here. But in saying that, it makes it easier getting in and out of the tent, because you can obviously either kneel down here or sit here and then get in. But you have that option, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, so interior space. Here is the bottom line. This tent will fit 2 regular wide pads. I've got them in here now, no bother at all, despite the fact that if you look at the measurements on the 3FUL website, it shouldn't. So this is a big bonus, because regular wide pads are definitely the way to go. And incidentally, if you're looking for a superb pad that's really, really good value, this Keyless Gear pad, it's the Aero Cloud Sleeping Pad Elite. And I actually even do a lighter weight version. I've now used it 5 or 6 times, and it is significantly more comfortable than the Thermarest X-Therm that I'm lying on. So when I'm lying down at the end, or when I'm lying down in a tent with my head where it would comfortably be at the head position, this is the actual space that I have for my feet. Interior height, I'm 6'1" or about 185 centimeters, and when I'm sitting up on the pad now, I'm bottoming out on the pad. Bottoming, you do that on pads, on most pads anyway, and I've got about that, you know, from the top of my head. And you know, I can move back, you know, because I'm not going to say that the tent is the same height at the ends, because it's not, but I can move actually down the tent. You might be able to see everything through the mesh here, but I can't actually move down the tent or around the tent because there's such good height with the tent having a relatively high roof. So this is just showing the tent, obviously with two people in it. This is my girlfriend, by the way. No, she's actually my wife.
I am not, I'm his wife of nearly 10 years.
So yeah, I mean, no other way to demonstrate it, a two-person tent space-wise than actually have two people in it. And the space is actually really, really good, as I've said before. And at the foot end of the tent, you've got a really high bathtub floor for really good weather protection as well. Other features in the tent here, we've got a pretty decent sort of pocket, and that's just at either end. This tent also comes with good reinforcing on stress points and fully taped fly and ground sheet, so that means the tent is completely waterproof. Okay, so now I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this 3FULGEAR shell tent. I'll try not to ramble on too much, but the bottom line is that I actually really do like this tent, and I'm very unsure whether I will sell or keep it. I'm definitely not going to sell it quickly. It doesn't suit the majority of the type of camping that I do, which is for exposed summits. But for sheltered locations, as a two-person, three-season summer tent, I think it works insanely well. I love the hybrid design. I like arch pole type tents. You know, I've had two Hilleberg Actos, and I now have two tarp tent scarp ones. I love this type of tent, and this is a development of that. The hybrid thing works really well in this particular tent. It's like a hybrid tunnel. Because it's a trekking pole at the end, you'll possibly be carrying trekking poles anyway, so you're potentially saving a little bit of weight. And because a trekking pole is thick and very rigid, you can make the ends of the tent quite high and still retain strength. You just couldn't do that if you had some form of other aluminium poles. So it retains its strength at the end, and you've got great internal space. I mean, I'm well back from the center of the tent now, and I can still actually sit up, and I'm 6'1". So, you know, to reiterate again, a three-season tent, good ventilation, nice mesh inner, amazing space in the inside, two regular wide mats. I'm delighted at that. That's the way to go. Fit in, no problem at all, with great vestibules, good ventilation, 130 odd pounds with a footprint. Yeah, I think it represents exceptional value for money, and absolutely I would recommend this tent 100%. I'm actually honestly really, really keen on it. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time.